Hello and welcome to BQ Primo. Very good afternoon to all the viewers. Clearly, the markets seem to be struggling, and the wait for the markets to attain its new high is getting longer. There is some bit of consolidation that we've been witnessing as well, but where from here on is an interesting question that we need to ask. Joining us on the show is Kunal Shah, Senior Technical and Derivative Analyst at LKP Securities. Kunal, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon.
Kunal, clearly there is that struggle that's coming in terms of where markets go, though the underlying trend is pretty much positive. Positive support coming in from the global markets as well. What are the levels that you're tracking specifically, firstly, in terms of Nifty?
Yeah, I think if I look at the markets, at least in the last 1 week or so, they have been consolidating in a broad range. But if I talk about the overall structure, it's very bullish. We are trading in a strong uptrend with higher low formations, which are intact on the technical charts. So I think there is no such worry at the current levels. It was the mid cap and the small cap week where they were outperforming the headline indexes over here. For me, Nifty on the downside, 18,400 is a strong support. As long as these supports are not reached, I expect the momentum to continue on the upside. The immediate hurdle on the upside for Nifty is at 18,600 on the spot. Once that is taken out decisively on a closing basis, we expect Nifty to hit all-time high levels of 18,800, 18,900. Only below 18,400 is where Nifty will face some struggle. Now, the real pain, what we have seen in this week is in the banking space. Now, banking is where the majority of the selling was witnessed. The larger banks, whether it's the HDFC, Axis, or an ICICI, there we have witnessed some massive selling pressure, and Bank Nifty has been a spoiler this week. So for Bank Nifty, the immediate support on the downside is at 43,500. If that is taken out, then we expect correction in the Bank Nifty index on the downside. So for Nifty, even to sustain that 18,400, Bank Nifty has to stabilize or has to mildly go up. If Bank Nifty starts to underperform, then definitely Nifty will also feel the pressure, and that will break the support zone on the downside.
Right. So if you have to look at Bank Nifty as well, clearly you have a Kotak Mahindra Bank, which has failed to sustain at higher levels. And after the up move, we've seen a sharp reversal that has come in on that one. Simultaneously, if you see in terms of HDFC Bank as well, the open interest value for HDFC Bank is much higher than that of Bank Nifty. What is that actually indicating according to you?
Yeah, I think if we talk about the entire banking space only on the private bank, HDFC Bank is definitely trading in a strong downtrend. It's showing selling pressure from higher levels. So clear-cut resistance is visible. Talking about Kotak Bank, the up move what we saw was just because of the MSCI rebalancing. Once that event was over in the last half an hour, that is 3 to 3:30, then on the next day we will again witness some selling pressure from the higher levels. So clear-cut Bank Nifty is not looking strength at the current levels. We have almost touched the all-time high levels as well, and we have created a new high for the Bank Nifty. Now, the immediate hurdle on the upside is at 44,200. Once that is taken out, then we will say that the Bank Nifty has again resumed its uptrend. We expect 45,000 levels on the upside. But as long as 44,200 is not taken out, we might see some consolidation or downward selling pressure in the Bank Nifty index.
That's with regards to where Bank Nifty goes as well. Moving on in terms of stock specific action, let's look at a PFC in today's day of trade. Long positions that are being taken on this counter, what should the strategy be?
I think definitely if we talk about PFC on a long-term chart, firstly, if I look at the monthly chart on technicals, PFC was consolidating in a broad range since the last 8 years. If you look at the chart from 2016 to 2022, it was just trading in a broad range of 80 on the downside and 150 on the upside. We finally witnessed a very strong breakout last 2 to 3 months on PFC above that 150, and post that the stock has been trading in a very strong uptrend. We expect this outperformance to continue going forward as well. PFC is likely to hit the targets of 200 on the upside. So one should definitely place bullish bets at the current levels as well. 180 is a very strong support on the downside.
Right. Kunal, from the auto pack, you have a Hero Moto, where long positions are being taken as well. You have the auto sales numbers that have come in. What should the strategy be?
So I think if I talk about auto as an index has given a very strong breakout last month only, and post that we have been seeing a good uptrend. Whether it's a two-wheeler space or whether it's a four-wheeler space, we are seeing strong buying from the lower levels. So definitely auto is back in space. Talking about Hero Moto here, we have seen a good up move on Hero Moto where 2900 levels have been touched. Now, this has been a zone for the stock where some earlier resistance was also visible. So, overall, the trend remains positive, but the risk reward is not favorable at the current levels. If you get any dip into the stock, you will utilize that dip to buy, not at the current levels.
Right. Let's look at a couple of other names like a Hindalco, Tata Steel. All these metal counters are seeing some strong up move in the cash market. From a derivative perspective, there is long build up on these counters. What's your view?
Yeah, I think metal as a space has been extremely volatile because of the global prices which are linked to it. So metal continues to be extremely volatile. I don't have any particular bearish or bullish view on the metal space. I think it might still consolidate in a broader range. Talking about Hindalco specifically, we have seen again selling rejection from the lower end for Hindalco, which is a positive trigger for the stock. 400 has been a very strong support. Whenever the stock tries to touch that levels, we are seeing immediate bounces from the lower levels. So I think one can initiate long positions on Hindalco. Good risk reward what you are getting at the current levels. 400 should act as a support on the downside. Upside, I'm expecting targets of 440 to 450.
Right. So that's with regards to where Hindalco goes. How are you seeing a Hindustan Aeronautics? Because there is short covering on this one. Hindustan Copper and Jindal Steel are also seeing some bit of short covering in today's day of trade.
So I think if we talk about firstly the entire defense space, they have been a big outperformer in the last year as well as in the current year as well. HAL has been one of the top bet when it comes to the entire defense space. So the momentum is strong. We can expect the momentum to continue toward that 3300, 3350 mark on the upside. The lower end base is now at 3100. So one can keep a stop loss of 3100. Those who are already holding a long position should the long term support acts around the level of 3000. Talking about the entire other space, what you talked about, we think firstly the market is in a strong uptrend, so no need to worry. Even if you get any correction in the market, utilize that correction to initiate long position.
Right. So that's coming in on this name DLF. How are you looking at a DLF, Kunal? Because clearly the stock is up in trade. Open interest edition is also pretty strong. There are longs being created on this counter.
So I think firstly talking about the entire reality space.
Mm.
Now reality space has been buzzing a lot, and we have seen that the rate hike cycle which was going on has been stopped now. So that's a positive trigger for the entire reality sector. The last RBI policy what we had, we saw from the RBI governor that everybody was expecting a 25 basis rate hike, but we remain on a status quo. So again, positive trigger started from there for the reality index. We expect strong momentum to continue in the entire space. DLF being a top pick over here, we expect target of 500 to 520 on the upside.
Okay. Coming to the Reliance Industries as well as Infosys, an interesting trend that I was seeing is that in the last 1 year, though the Sensex has moved in double digit, it's these two counters which have been underperformers as well. How are you looking at Reliance as well as Infosys?
So I think Reliance, if I talk about, firstly, it was a very big outperformer when the big rally started. Now,
Hmm.
post that in the last 1 year or so, it has been a very big underperformer over here. But that's the nature of the market. When the new bull market starts, the other leaders come into the picture and they take the market ahead. But talking about Reliance again, on the downside, 2400 has been a very strong support for the stock. Once that is breached on the downside, then we will see further selling pressure. So I think it's still trading in a sideways trend where 2400 is the resistance and 2600 sorry, 2400 is a support and 2600 is a resistance. I am not expecting much momentum on Reliance, but even at the current level, since the stock has corrected, if you get around the level of 2400, then that would be an ideal opportunity to create long positions.
Right. Kunal, IGL as well as MGL, both of these counters, Gujarat Gas and IGL, both of these stocks are seeing some short built up in today's day of trade. What's your view?
I think definitely both the counters have given a technical breakdown.
Mhm.
And this was on the news by yesterday that the gas prices have been reduced by the government. So clear cut, it was a negative impact over here on the entire gas stocks as well, and that is where both the stocks are correcting. So we might see some selling pressure continue going forward. For Gujarat Gas specifically, the next support zone lies at 450, 455 zone. So still a 3 to 4% correction can come into the stock.
Right. Kunal, let's even looking at Marico, there is some bit of long unwinding that's happening on that counter. How are you looking at Marico in trade?
So I think firstly the entire FMCG sector is looking good. It has been trading in a strong uptrend.
Hmm.
Now Marico post the results has seen a strong up move. It has been trading in a high low formations. But I think one should utilize any dips to buy the stock again. 528, 530 is a very strong support zone. If you get the stock around those levels, then you could initiate long positions in Marico.
Right. Kunal, looking at any other names, anything that looks attractive from a next week perspective?
I think there are a lot of stocks which are looking very attractive for the coming week as well. We have
Hmm.
seen buying actions in the mid cap and the small caps, and that is where the real momentum is. My first topic over there will be the auto ancillary space. Now, auto ancillary has been doing extremely well, backed by the auto sector who has been performing. So, if auto performs, the proxy to it is auto ancillary. And from there, my top pick over there will be Minda Corp. If you look at the stock chart structure, it has been trading in a strong uptrend. Today, the stock has given a massive breakout on the daily chart with sharp surge in volumes as well. Positive trigger for the stocks again. Entire auto space is also buzzing with the ancillary space. Currently trading somewhere around 299, 300. If you get any dip, that would be an ideal opportunity to initiate long positions. 295 would be an ideal price to buy. 280 is a strong support on the downside, which should act as a stop loss for you. And on the higher end, I'm expecting targets of 315 to 330 on the upside. So Minda Corp is something which is looking extremely good. And second stock is again from the entire auto space only. And my stock preference would be Maruti. Now Maruti, if you look at the chart, the stock has seen a very good rally in the recent times. We expect Maruti to touch the levels of 10,000 plus on the upside. Currently trading at 9,500. So Maruti is a buy for me. 9,300 is a stop loss on the downside. I'm expecting targets of 10,000 plus on it.
Right. So these are few of the names that one should be watching out for as well. Thank you, Kunal, so much for joining us on the show and giving us those views and top picks for next week as well. Stay safe. Speak to you soon again and have a great weekend. But clearly, in terms of markets, as Kunal was also mentioning, the full week that we've seen has been a week of consolidation, clearly. And today as well, we've seen a volatile ride, though majority of the day we've managed to stay afloat in the positive. And currently, as well, we're trading somewhere around those 18,530 levels, gains of around 0.2% coming in there. But interestingly, the advanced decline ratio seems pretty much favoring the bulls as we speak. The bank Nifty has also cooled off. It hit a high of around 44,088, but now we are sub the 43,900 levels there. So clearly, again, the advanced decline ratio still is in favor of the bulls overall in terms of bank Nifty. Let's quickly look at few of the stocks which are, keeping us afloat: Hindalco, Hiromoto, Apollo Hospital, Maruti, as well as M&M. So it's absolutely the auto pack which is up and about in trade on the back of the May auto sales numbers that have come in, and it's mainly the consumer sentiment is pretty strong. That's the trend that we have been picking up, taking the passenger vehicle as well as the two-wheeler space into consideration. But apart from that, there is some bit of pressure that's coming in on the tractor sales. And if you see in CVs as well, the expectation was pretty strong, but it's been absolutely company specific in the way the numbers have come in. From a downward perspective, you have Adani Enterprises, BPCL, HDFC Life, Wipro, as well as a TCS, which have been trading under pressure. Let's quickly look at the Sensex as well. 62,500 is the levels that we are tracking so far right now. And in terms of stock specific action, Lloyd Steel, Graphite India, Global Spirits is an interesting one. A 10% up move coming in terms of where Global Spirit goes. So that's a counter that should be on your radar as well. Because clearly that momentum in terms of alcohol companies has been pretty strong over the last couple of trading sessions. And if you see in the month of May itself, after the 18 to 20 month of price to time correction, that is clearly signaling that the worst is behind and the risk and reward is turning favorable as well over the medium term. That's what analysts have been indicating. And clearly, in terms of Global Spirits as well, the price has given a breakout from 8 month of the lows that it hit. So clearly a good amount of up move seen in terms of where Global Spirits goes. HEG is another one. So Graphite and HEG, as we know, always go hand in hand. Around a 10 to 15% kind of an up move is what we've seen on both these counters. NIT Tech under pressure, Sundaram Fasteners under pressure, VRL Logistics, that's another counter which is seeing cuts of almost 6.5%. So again, a lot of individual stock specific action is what we are seeing. There is higher momentum with regards to where the broader markets are concerned vis-a-vis what's happening with the benchmark indices, and it's the large caps which are keeping us pretty much at check. And clearly, from a 1 year perspective, you have Infosys as well as Reliance, which are the top losers in comparison to a Sensex, which has given a positive return as well. That's all that we have on this session. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend. In fact, lots more lined up on the other side as well. Please be tuned to Big Prime.